Hey YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to part 15. It's been a little while, but it's a new year, and let's get some new videos out and finish this series. So today we're going to be continuing on AI. I'm going to split this into like a very mini tutorial. We're going to be setting up a couple new functions for the tank AI, and then handling the barrel rotation. So we're going to be using a lot of functionality that we've already made in order to showcase our tank rotation, our barrel rotation across clients. And we're going to be using that with the AI. Eventually down the road, we'll probably package that up into one nice packet that we send across. So don't worry that hey, we're going to update position and then rotation right after, whatever. We could do that in one go. We're just going to utilize what we have right now, and that could be something that we change later on. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our server here. And you can see I already got it started. It's like the first thing I like to do when I open it up. And we're actually going to open up our classes here. And we're going to open up a couple things. So we're going to open up the game lobby and the lobby base. And then go ahead and open up the AI base here. And we don't have the tank AI yet, but we're going to be making that. So once you get those three open, just left click here on the AI folder so it's selected, create a new folder, or a new file, sorry, and you're going to say tankai.js. So what I like to do is while this is like a tank shooting game, you're probably only going to have tanks. If you're working on like a dungeon crawler or something else where you have a bunch of different AI enemies, it's always good to kind of just have like that base that kind of has functionality for everything, and then expand on that. So very similar to how AI base always comes off server items, so we can kind of handle all server items together. We're going to have AI base and then branch off that. So the first thing we're going to do here is we'll bring in AI base because we're going to need it as the base class. So we'll just do, this should be an AI and then AI base. And then we're going to need some vector math, so we're going to bring in vector 2 as well while we're just waiting. And that's just down there. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so we'll do our standard module exports with a class tank AI, and that's going to extend AI base. Beautiful. Apply the constructor. We'll make sure we call AI basis constructor. We're also going to override the username. So if we go to, let's put that in there really quick. So if we go into AI base, we have base things like username, health, dead, respawn ticker, respawn time, that sort of stuff. So what I like to do is, as I extend and stuff, I kind of just change the base stuff. And then you'll see I'll leave a gap, and then I'll have stuff that's specific to this. You might notice that these next two things you might want to move to your base class. For now and for the ease of the tutorial, we're going to have them in tank AI, but if you find that you're doing a dungeon crawler, for example, the target might be something that all AI wants. So you can move it to the AI base and totally do it that way too. So we're going to add a target and then just check here if they have a target. Just allows us to skip some steps if they can't find anybody, maybe they're out of range, that sort of stuff. So AI base has an on update function. We're actually going to add another one, and so right now the on update gets called, and we're not really doing a whole lot here, but we're going to have another function called on obtain target. This is going to take in all the connections of the server. Remember, right now everything's just kind of set up for free-for-all. And the goal here is that AI base kind of has the functionality, and tank AI is going to extend it. So tank AI is going to have its version of on update. It takes some parameter on update position and on obtain target, and it takes in connections. Beautiful. And while we're here, So the first thing we're going to be doing in this tutorial is the tank rotation. You'll notice that we have update position. We don't have a rotation one, so we're actually going to add in this AI base in the onUpdate. We're going to add in a function called onUpdate rotation, and we'll have to make sure this is currently getting called right now in lobby base, and so we'll have to make sure that we add that as well. So in lobby base, the second parameter. So it's a little confusing when you're adding functions and stuff inside the parameter, but because we added a second basically function, we had the first one here, so you got to go find out where that ends, and then you can put the next parameter in, and we'll put data. So it'll work very similar. And we can actually just copy this here. And this is what I meant, like we could do this as one packet, no problem. But for now, we're going to use update position and rotation. And if we go back, this is in your client. Like the last tutorial, we're using update position because it's already available, and we're going to use update rotation because it's already available. Maybe in the future we'll have update AI. They'll kind of take these two together. But yeah, we'll just kind of use what we have right now to make it easier. So yes, go ahead, copy that, rename that to update rotation here, and that's going to call our base here. And because we're extending it, it's actually going to go call this version. So we need to copy the onUpdate rotation and bring it into here. So now we have two functions that we could call. And then we also have our obtain target as well. So the first thing we're going to start filling out is, let's work on the obtaining a target. So right now we're given all the connections. Because it's free for all, we can kind of assume basically anybody. Eventually when you have teams and stuff, you'll have to be like, oh, I only want like a blue team and red team or something. But for now, it's just kind of like free for all. And the goal here is, I'm basically going to say anybody within 10 units from me is in a quote-unquote available target for me, and then I'll find the closest one and I'm going to aim at them, or I'll move towards them in the next tutorials. So we're going to say let AI, and that's going to be equal to this. We're also going to see if we found a target, because if we haven't found the target, we don't want other stuff to run. So if found the target is false, and then right now we'll also put AI.target is equal to undefined. So each kind of like frame tick, it's going to set this back to undefined. It's not available, and it's going to want to find the next closest. So first thing we want to do is find the closest target to go after. If I can spell today. So we're going to say let available targets, and that's going to be equal to the connections that come in, and we're going to do a filter on them. The filter is going to give us, so these are a single connection that's coming in, so it's going to be a connection. Make sure to put the semicolon down at the end. From the connection, we're going to grab the player. And then we're only going to return. So the way this works is for the filtering is we're bringing in a single connection, and then we're going to basically have some sort of like if logic here, that if it's true, it's going to return that connection to the right. So it's going to give us a new array that only contains stuff that is validated inside here during the return. So we're going to say AI.position.distance. So that means we're inside vector2 stuff right now. Player.position, and then like I was saying, basically if you're less than 10 units is good. And then we'll save that. And so the next thing we want to do is, so that's all fine and dandy. It's going to grab us, let's say there were 3 people within 10 units of us. What that doesn't do is it doesn't find the closest target. So it just tells us that, hey, there's 3 people within 10 units. Basically, you can choose any of them you want. And we're going to bring that further. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to find the closest target. Perhaps in the future, you can expand this to do things like, so in tower defenses, they have like shoot highest damage, shoot lowest health, that sort of stuff. So perhaps in the future you can expand that for lowest health. So this is totally up to you how you want to kind of carry this on, I guess. We're just going to do the closest target. So we're going to say available targets and then dot sort. And then so the sorting method brings in two of the things that were inside the array. One called A, one called B. And if you remember from up here, this is returning a connection. So A and B are both a connection, right? That contains a player and stuff. So we'll say A distance is equal to AI dot position dot distance A dot player, right? Because it's a connection dot position. We're going to go ahead, we're going to copy this line. We'll replace this with B distance and B player. And then we're going to return if A distance is less than B distance. We're going to return, oh, my bad. We're going to return -1 and then or 1. So basically, the way the sort works is you either want like a -1 to show that it's like behind, 0 means they're even, or 1 means they're like together, right? And yeah. So okay, so that's going to sort them. So that should give us the lowest one first. If there was only ever one there, then it's not really going to sort. But that's in our case, it was like, oh, there's 3 within 10. Yeah, give me the closest one. We'll just do a quick check here because maybe we didn't get any available targets, right? It can still try and sort even if it's an array of 0. So we'll say if the length is greater than 0, then we found the target. And we'll say AI.target is equal to available targets and the first one, right? Because we sorted it. And then we're going to set that we have a target is equal to found target. So per tick, per frame, whether we have a target or not is going to be set. And if it is, we can guarantee that the target's probably set too. Okay. And then now you're wondering, like, well, we don't call this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to lobby base here. And right above the update, we're going to do AI.onObtain target. And the first thing we're going to do is bring in lobby.connections. Okay, so for each AI, we'll obtain the target, then we can perform an update on it. Make sure that it is in this order. Because in the future, you're going to want the AI to, you're going to want to pass in things like your A-star map and that sort of stuff. Okay, we're going to go back in. So on the tank, on the update here, we're going to do a little bit of math. Alright, so we're going to say AI is this. If the AI doesn't have a target, right? So we have the exclamation point. We're just going to return right here. No point in processing. If he doesn't have a target, no point. You might have other stuff in the future that you want him to do, but in this case, if he doesn't have a target, let's not do anything. We're going to do some helper stuff. So we'll say target connection is equal to AI.target. We'll say target position is equal to target connection.player.position. So I'll just save us a little time typing. And then let's do some math. So right now, if we were to spawn this guy, which it wouldn't really, I guess I can show you with the AI base. It's not gonna update or anything. But if we go in here, we hit play. As we move around, we want the barrel to kind of follow the target, right? So the way we're going to do this, we're going to use a little bit of trig math along with the direction. So we're going to take the player position vector, and then we're going to take our position vector minus from each other. Then we'll normalize it so it's between 0 and 1. And then from there, we'll use some ATN2 math to get the angle that we're looking at. And if that sounds anywhere familiar, is because we use that in our rotation, which is under player manager. If you go to the player manager, you'll see this is basically the math we're going to do, right? So instead of the mouse position, we're basically going to do the difference position between the AI and the player or the target we're looking at. We're going to normalize it, and then we'll do the ATAN2 using the Y and the X, and then we'll use a conversion to go between radians and degrees, and then we'll pass that back into the client so we can rotate our tank. Beautiful. So let's do that on the server side. So let's get normalized direction between tank and player. Sure. We'll put targets so we keep our stuff together. So direction is going to be equal to a new vector 2. And then direction.x is going to be equal to, we're going to do target first, target position.x. And that's going to minus from the AI.position.x. And then don't need the 3 there. We'll copy that guy and just replace everything with y's. So that will give us our direction vector, right? And then we need to normalize that. So we'll say direction is equal to direction dot normalized. That's part of our vector class that we made. So that will give us like, this vector between our AI tank and our player is this direction. And then in theory, if we were to like move the person along that, they would go along that and they would reach the target. Then we want to do is we want to take that math, right? Like we were saying, we want to apply ATAN2 to it, and we'll get the barrel rotation. So we'll say the rotation is equal to math.ATAN2. So the ATAN2 takes the Y and the X number, which is kind of cool, where it's ATAN doesn't. Say direction Y, and then we'll say direction X. And we don't actually have, this math library doesn't have like a radian to degree converter. So what we're gonna do is in the AI base class here, if you go all the way to the bottom, we're gonna create a little function here called radians to degrees. And this is just like a static conversion number. You can, if you go back to here, under the player manager, to where we do here, basically we're gonna be putting in our 57.29578 float. It's just like constant value that you multiply to do the conversion. And so we're gonna be return new number 57.29578. And like I said, this isn't something I made, this is just like a constant that's always used. Inside our tank AI, we can call that by saying AI.radians to degrees. And that should look like basically the same thing we have on the client, right? Sometimes you'll run into rotation not being a number right off the bat, so we'll just do a quick nan check. Basically, we don't want to send it if it's a nan, and we'll just do a return there. And the last thing we're going to do is on update rotation. So just for now, we're going to do the rotation. Like I said, we're going to do position stuff in the next video. So on rotation, we're going to send a little JSON object. And if you go back to network client here, so we're sending update rotation. So it's looking for an ID, a tank rotation, and a barrel rotation. And so then we'll go ID, which is the AI ID. We'll say tank rotation is equal to, just for now, we'll put 0. I'll say barrel rotation is equal to rotation. Okay, beautiful. So now we have the lobby updates the AI. And if we were to run this right now, it probably would not work. And the reason why it's not working is because if we go back to the lobby here, when we did the initial spawning of the AI, we actually just used AI base. So it doesn't even know it's a tank yet. So what we're going to do here is in game lobby, we're going to say tank AI is equal to require AI slash tank AI. And we'll actually come down to here where we do our spawning. And we'll go into spawn tank AI, and just for quickness, let's see if we have any other ones. We do not. And just in case, let's handle our respawn, which is our own person. We're just turning them off. So we should be good. Everything should be covered just by changing this to tank AI. We'll go ahead and save that. And let's go back to our client. So I've updated the client to 2019.3. I didn't have to make any changes to Socket.io. You just let, if you're still on 2018, you would like to switch to 2019, or you like to keep it the same, it's up to you. If you want to switch to the 2019, just do the upgrade, let it update the scripts, let it update if it has to update like a render pipeline, that sort of stuff. Just let it go ahead. You shouldn't run into any issues with the upgrade there. I just ended up opening it up in the upgrade, and I was like, okay, like most people were like, I was already on 2019, and I just wanted to show that it was kind of like you could go forward. Remember that you can't go back. So if you do go to 2019.3 and then you're like, oh no, I want 2018, like you can't go back. So Unity doesn't work that way. It just works forward, doesn't work backwards. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our enemy AI here, and then also our scriptable objects. So if you open up the server objects, we have, right now it's calling AI base, which is a match to the AI base here, but because we're in tank AI now, we're spawning tank AI, we actually need to change the scriptable object over to AI tank. So we'll do that really quick. Otherwise you would not see it spawn. It would still kind of like work in the background because the server, the client, like the server doesn't care what the client sees, right? Like the server's sending out commands, the client's supposed to make it look correct. The tank's always there on the server, right? It's just data to it. But yeah, you got to make sure that you change the server object there. Make sure we save. All right, so inside the tank here, basically you have everything removed that we did in the last tutorial. We're actually going to create a new class. So one of the things right now on the player is when we do the rotation, you'll see we call the player manager, which we don't have on the AI. So we're actually going to create a new folder under code here. We're going to call this AI, and we'll call in this one script, we'll call it AI manager. Save that, and we'll go ahead and open that script. Okay, cool. We can just kind of clear out this middle stuff. We'll bring that out, and we also want it in the namespace of project and then .ai, right? Just like we were doing before, where it's we're gonna skip the word code, we're gonna call it all project, and then it's in .ai. Bring in the class into there. And we're ready to rock. Okay, so a couple things we have to bring over. So we're gonna be doing the tank transform. Now we're not gonna be using it in this video. Like I said, we're not doing movement, but we can at least put the variable there and assign it for now. And what we actually need is the transform for the barrel. I'm just put barrel transform. Cool. And just like in this guy here, we're gonna need a function for like setting the rotation. So we'll say public void set barrel rotation. It's gonna bring in a float value. And then we're gonna say barrel transform dot local Euler angles. So we'll do a new vector 3 of 0, 0, value. Cool. And you can go ahead and you can save that. We'll come back out to the enemy tank here. Click on enemy AI where all our scripts are. We'll type in AI manager. We'll assign tank to tank transform and a barrel pivot to barrel transform. Go ahead, we'll save that so it saves the prefab there. And if right now, if we were to play it, we're gonna run into some errors, but I'm gonna show you what it kind of looks like right now. So if we were to play right now, basically we're not gonna see anything. And you're not gonna see it. We don't have any like outputs here. But if we were to put outputs here, you'd see that it's like grabbing the rotation. So let's do that for right now, just so you can see. Okay, so we're gonna start up the game again. We'll hit join, and then as we move here, you'll see we'll get rotational values, 90 to 132. Cool. So that means that it found the target and then it was able to rotate to it. And that rotates like a very like snap rotate, right? Like we're just setting. If you wanted something where it was like, if you were to spawn, say our tank on this side, and then it had a teleport to where my mouse is. The tank barrel for the AI is going to snap right to it. Like it's just going to go boom. So in the future, if you want to like add that sort of stuff, take this value that's here that's trying to set, keep the last value it had, and increment towards it. So that way you get your barrel swing and stuff. We're not going to do that. We're just going to do the snapping right now because we don't have a teleport anyway, so it's going to look natural. But for those that, I figured I'd give you that little tidbit there. Okay, so we don't have player manager, so we're going to have to fix that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say if the network identity .get component of player manager is equal to null. We can assume that we have the AI, right? Basically else we have a player, like another player, another client, and we can continue doing what we were doing before. If we have AI, we're going to grab the AI manager. And if I did that correctly, it wouldn't have looked terrible. Make sure you're on the left-hand side of the brackets. Say AI manager. And then we got set barrel rotation, which can be equal to barrel rotation. Cool. If we play that, so now as we go, you'll see our barrel is rotating as we're rotating. And the first thing you're going to notice, you're going to say, Alex, it's not pointing at our tank. And if you remember from like 10 videos ago, our tank barrel actually has an offset tied to it. So if you go to the player manager here, you'll see there's this barrel pivot, right? If I go up to there, it's based on how our assets were designed, they're actually 90 degrees off. So we're actually going to copy this bad boy here. Go into AI manager, paste up at the top, and just like this one, where we're adding it to the value, we're going to do the same thing. So we'll say value plus offset. If we go back in here, we go around, the tank now follows us, which is kind of creepy. And we have two things left for this AI tank to be considered a dumb AI, but functional. We have movement we have shooting. So the next one we're going to handle movement. We're not going to do any A star. So the way it's going to move is it's going to kind of be like a follower. Maybe if it has low health, we'll have a backup or something, but it's going to be a very dumb AI. Then we're going to do shooting. After shooting, we might do A star. We might come back to A star because we don't really have anything on the battlefield yet. So we might come back to the A star one. But we're going to do shooting, so we at least have something functional that you can play with. And that kind of concludes our base. So we did a lot of setup, and then we did the tank rotation. But this should help us for doing movement and stuff later in the future, because we have our base AI stuff that kind of handles everything for AI, and then we have our tank that's like tank specific, which is super handy because when you get into like dungeon crawlers or other games where you have tons of different enemies, having things broken out makes it much easier to change, modify, and update, right? So make sure you guys are keeping track of that. So yeah, we'll do update position next time. If you guys have any questions, check out the Discord. That's down below in the description there. Check out my Patreon, also in the description. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. We're almost at 1,000. All right, we're halfway. I need to get to 1,000. Let's get her up there. Make sure you share this video. Share the first video. Actually, go back and share the first video as well. Because people come to like this part and they're like, I don't understand. Make sure you guys share all those videos. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Hey guys, I just wanted to make sure that I give a nice shout out to all my Patreons over on Patreon. And they're going to be in the following list for you. Jaren Frost, Arthur Zhang, Pawn Theory. Hey everyone, if you guys liked the video, make sure you guys click that subscribe button, give it a like, and make sure to comment. It really helps out. And if you guys are looking to support the project further, I also have my Patreon, which will be linked in the description down below. Thank you, and have a good day.